going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
In a dramatic late-night reversal, U.S. President Donald Trump stepped back from the threat of launching devastating strikes on Iran, opting instead for a 2-week ceasefire, just hours before his own deadline for escalation expired. The abrupt pivot marks a critical turning point in a 40-day conflict that had pushed the region and global energy markets to the edge. Until Tuesday evening, Trump had warned of imminent attacks on Iranian infrastructure, including bridges and power plants, targets that critics argued could have caused significant civilian harm amounting to war crimes. However, less than 2 hours before the deadline, the U.S. president announced he would hold off, conditional on Iran agreeing to a temporary ceasefire and reopening the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. The narrow waterway, through which roughly 1/5 of global oil supply passes during peacetime, had become a central flashpoint in the conflict. Trump stated that Iran had presented a workable 10-point peace proposal and that almost all points of past contention had been resolved, pending final negotiations during the 2-week pause. In stark contrast to Washington's cautious tone, Tehran declared outright victory. In a statement issued by Iran's Supreme National Security Council, the country claimed it had delivered a historic and crushing defeat to both the United States and Israel, asserting that Washington had been forced to accept Iran's core demands. Iranian officials framed the ceasefire not as a compromise, but as a submission by their adversaries. The statement emphasized that the U.S. now saw no way forward but to submit to the will of the great nation of Iran. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, confirmed that Tehran would allow passage through the Strait of Hormuz during the ceasefire, but under Iranian military coordination, reinforcing its claim of strategic control over the waterway. At the heart of the emerging agreement is Iran's sweeping 10-point proposal, which, if fully implemented, would significantly reshape the regional balance of power. The plan includes a permanent ceasefire and end to hostilities, continued Iranian control and supervision over the Strait of Hormuz, full lifting of U.S. primary and secondary sanctions, acceptance of Iran's nuclear enrichment program, withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the Middle East, cancellation of UN and IAEA resolutions against Iran, release of frozen Iranian assets abroad, payment of war compensation to Iran, formal UN Security Council endorsement of the agreement, transformation of the deal into binding international law. The scope of these demands signals not just an end to the conflict, but a broader attempt by Tehran to redefine geopolitical and economic dynamics in the region. The war began on February 28th with joint U.S.-Israeli strikes that Iran says included the assassination of its supreme leader, Syed Ali Khamenei, along with senior military commanders. Washington and Tel Aviv had justified their actions by citing Iran's nuclear program and regional influence. Over the following weeks, both sides exchanged escalating threats, with Trump repeatedly setting and then extending deadlines for Iranian capitulation. The latest breakthrough came after intense diplomatic engagement, particularly involving Pakistan. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif publicly urged Trump to extend his deadline, while Pakistan's army chief, Asim Munir, reportedly played a key role in back-channel discussions. Trump acknowledged that his decision was influenced by these conversations, signaling a shift from coercive pressure to negotiated compromise. Israel has reportedly agreed to the ceasefire terms, but not without internal dissent. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is said to be deeply dissatisfied, with sources indicating that Israel had hoped to extract greater concessions from Iran. Netanyahu, long skeptical of ceasefire arrangements, had previously pushed for a more aggressive strategy and was believed to have influenced earlier escalations. Fragile peace, lingering tensions. Despite the ceasefire, Iran has made it clear that the war is not truly over. In a warning-laden statement, Tehran emphasized that its hands remain upon the trigger, and that any misstep by the US or Israel would be met with force. Meanwhile, Iran continues to retain its stockpile of highly enriched uranium, one of the original triggers for the conflict, leaving a major issue unresolved. Analysts suggest the outcome could have lasting implications for US foreign policy. Trita Parsi of the Washington-based Quincy Institute noted that the conflict may have weakened the credibility of US military threats in future negotiations with Iran. Essentially, war with Iran was tried and failed,